Good morning, dear students. Today in this video we are going to see about micro-teaching skill. So this title will come under Unit 5 in Pedagogy of English 1 in the heading of Acquisition of Teaching Skill. This video is for both Pedagogy of English 1 as well as Pedagogy of English 2 students. So both the students should write lesson plan for micro teaching, and we have a separate record for micro teaching. So this video is for both Pedagogy of English 1 students as well as English 2 students. I would like to ask a question to you before going into the topic. So what do you feel about this teaching profession? How is your feel of becoming a teacher? So do you feel happy or do you feel bored, or what is your feeling towards this teaching profession? So I will be asking this question in the first class of each year. So I'll be asking like, do you wish to become a teacher, or you are here on somebody's compulsion, so and so. So you'll be having so many answers, right? So save your answers, and when we are meeting in the classroom, I will ask the same question to you. So what do you think about this teaching profession? Whether it is an easiest profession or it is a difficult profession, or what else? So actually, when you say teaching is a very complex process. So it is not an easy process, it is a complex process. Complex means it is a difficult process. Why? Because we are dealing with human beings, right? We are dealing with human beings, and we are dealing with young human beings. So the young human beings will be very energetic, and sometimes they will be bored, or sometimes there are different kinds of emotions. So emotions will not be in the same track among the young one. So they'll be having different kinds of emotions, and you have to deal with all such kind of emotions. So that's why teaching is called as a complex process. It is not the easiest task. It is a difficult task, and you need lots and lots of training to make it easier. Okay. So this teaching profession is a complex or difficult process, and so to make this complex or difficult process as a easiest process, this micro teaching concept was developed in 1961 by Alan and Robert Bush. Okay, so for making teaching as an easiest or capable one, this micro teaching concept was developed in 1961. So here the complex act of teaching is broken down into simple components by making the task more manageable. Only one particular skill is attempted and developed during this micro teaching session. So some of you have heard about this micro teaching. So micro teaching, micro means what? Micro means small. So teaching is a big one. Micro teaching means a small one. So micro teaching is nothing but you will be breaking the whole thing into a smaller one. So it is both on classroom size, classroom strength, and classroom time. So everything will be shortened in this micro teaching process. So normally a classroom will contain 40 to 30 to 40 students. So but in micro teaching, your classroom strength will be from 5 to 10. Okay, 5 to 10 students will be there, and normally the class time is 45 minutes. Here in micro teaching, the class time will be 5 to 20 minutes. So in 5 to 20 minutes, or with the group of 5 to 10 students, you will be practicing a particular skill. Okay, so this process is called as micro teaching. This micro teaching is a teacher training technique. So only a B.Ed student can practice this technique, not the real teacher. So the real teacher should teach for real 45 minutes. So this micro teaching is specially designed for teacher trainees, that is B.Ed students. So only B.Ed students can practice this micro teaching during their course time, not in your real classroom situation. So this micro teaching should only be practiced in your B.Ed classroom. Okay, so this will be the training session for B.Ed students for developing them into the real classroom. Here the complex act of teaching is broken down into simple components by making the task more manageable. Okay, so the complex act will be broken down into small pieces, and we will be achieving those small pieces to achieve the big complex act. Okay, only one particular skill is attempted and developed during this short period. So this process is called as microteaching. The definition for microteaching given by Allen is, it is a scaled down teaching encounter in class size and class time. So it is a scaled down teaching encounter in class size and class time means, yeah, the time of the classroom and the size of the classroom has been scaled down. Scaled down means has been reduced. So that's why it is called as a scaled down teaching encounter. Okay, so it is a reduced teaching encounter in class size as well as class time. So after practicing this, the trainees will be provided with feedback of their teaching by the teacher educator. The teacher educators are nothing but we. So we are teaching you, right? So we are called as the teacher educator. So you people are called as student teachers or teacher trainees. Okay. Next is objectives of microteaching. So these are the major objectives of microteaching. So we will see one by one. The first one is to enable teacher trainees to learn and assimilate new teaching skill under controlled condition. So this microteaching will enable the teacher trainees, will enable the B.Ed students to learn and assimilate new teaching skill under controlled condition. So this micro teaching will be a new concept for them. Okay, and then in teaching there are several skills. There are skills like blackboard, there are skills like introduction, there are skills like explanation, there are skills like questioning. So all these are different types of teaching skills. So in micro teaching skill you will be learning each and every skill individually. Okay, individually. So that's why it is called as to learn and assimilate new teaching skill under controlled condition. Controlled condition means the teacher educator will be there to control your teaching skill. So if you are going in a wrong way, the teacher educator will give you feedback and ask you to teach it again. Okay, so it enables the trainees to learn and assimilate new teaching skill under controlled condition. So the next one is to enable teacher trainees to gain confidence in teaching and mastering a number of teaching skill on a small group of people. So this micro teaching will give confidence for the teacher trainees. So if I straight away ask you to go to school and teach, you will not have that much confidence. So for developing the confidence and for making you practice all the skills, we provide this micro teaching practice in our B.Ed course. Okay, so if you are practicing micro teaching skill, you will naturally gain confidence. So the next point is to gain maximum advantage with minimum time, money and material. So if you are practicing this micro teaching, you will get maximum advantage. So your teaching skill will be developed naturally, and you will be able to do some teaching aids, and you can be able to manage time management. So time management, so that 45 minutes, what I'm going to do in 45 minutes can be managed well when you are practicing this micro teaching skill. Okay, so these are the major objectives of micro teaching. So why we are learning micro teaching skill means, so these are the objectives of it. So if you learn micro teaching practice well, you will learn new teaching skill under controlled condition, and you will gain confidence, and you will make maximum advantage with minimum time, money and material. So next is teaching strategies. So what are the teaching strategies which we will be following in practicing micro teaching skill? So the first one is pre-instructional skill. So pre-instructional skill include writing objectives, sequencing or arranging knowledge to be presented in an order, and selecting proper content, proper organization of the content, selection of proper audio visual aids. So during this pre-instructional skill, you will be framing the objective, why I have selected this topic and what I'm going to do in this 5 minutes. Okay, like that you have to frame objectives, and then you have to arrange it in a sequential order, and you have to select proper content, and you have to arrange the content in an organized way, and selection of proper audiovisual aids. So all these things you should do before teaching. Okay, that is pre-instructional skill. Next is instructional skill. So instructional skill means like you have to introduce the lesson, explain, illustrate, ask questions, reinforce people's participation. So all these things are instruction skills. So in 5 minutes, what you are going to do, you will be introducing the lesson, you will be explaining it, you will be illustrating it, you will be reinforcing the students, you will ask some questions, you will diagnose the difficulties. So all these things are called as instructional skill. Next is post instructional skill. So post instructional skill means after teaching what you will be doing. So you will be asking some questions to check whether the students have understood or not, and after checking their understanding level, so next you should think about what are the remedial measures I am going to do for the students. So this is what you will be doing after instructional skill. So next is feedback element. So after your teaching, feedback session will be there. Feedback session means your peer student can give feedback, or else the teacher educator who is present there will be giving feedback to you. And some of your micro teaching practice can be video recorded, and it can be shown to you for proper understanding for the teacher trainee, the one who is practicing it. Okay. And next is safe practice ground. This micro teaching is a laboratory process. It is also called as a laboratory process. Why? Because it is a safe practice ground in which the peer student of you is the audience, not the real student. So the student are the peer group students. Peer group students means your friends. So the student teacher will be the peer group for your classroom. So this teaching is a safe practice ground as it is performed under a small group, and so it is called as a safe practice ground. Next, teaching models. So teaching models should be prepared. Teaching models means you can bring some teaching aids, or you can bring some technological aids. So likewise you can there are so many teaching aids available. You can bring pictures, you can bring charts, you can bring models, you can bring real objects. So many teaching aids are available. So you have to think about what teaching aid is essential for this class. So likewise you have to plan. Next we have steps involved in micro teaching. So these are the steps which are involved in micro teaching. The first one is definition of the skill. So in micro teaching we have different types of skills. So we will see in the last slide about the different types of skill. So for each type of skill should be explained with their specific components. So each skill has its own specific components, and before practicing skill, those micro teaching skills should be explained or defined clearly by the teacher educator. So the teacher educator should explain all the micro teaching components before practicing among the students. So next is demonstration of the skill. Like after explaining, the teacher educator has to demonstrate a lesson using a particular skill. So if I am teaching you the skill of blackboard, if I am explaining you the skill of blackboard, after explanation I have to demonstrate the skill of blackboard for you as a real classroom. So I will be writing something on the blackboard. I will be choosing a title, and I will be teaching you on the title on the skill of blackboard. So after the definition of the skill, that particular skill should be demonstrated by the teacher educator. Teacher educator means we, student teacher means you. Okay, so after demonstrating, the next step will be planning the lesson. So after demonstration, the teacher educator will ask the students to plan for their classes, and the student teacher should write lesson plan for each and every micro teaching, and they have to plan, they have to get the lesson plan corrected from the teacher educator, and after that only they should practice. So after planning the lesson, the next will be teaching the micro lesson. So after proper planning and getting correction from the teacher educator, the student teacher should practice the teaching of micro lesson in front of the peer students. So that's the teacher trainee should practice the micro teaching lesson in a small group of people, and the class will be observed by the teacher educator as well as the student teachers. And after teaching the micro lesson, there will be a discussion on the lesson. Discussion means in the discussion, the student teacher will be provided feedback about her teaching. First, the teacher educator will give you some feedback, and after that the student teachers who have observed your class will be giving the feedback for the student. Okay, so after the discussion of the lesson, the next will be the replacing the lesson. So in the discussion I will be giving you some positive comments as well as the negative comments. So in the same way, your peer student will also give you some positive comment as well as negative comment. So after discussion on the lesson should be replaced. Replaced means the negative aspects of your lesson should be replaced with the positive aspects. So you have to plan it again. So this is replanning the lesson. So you have to replacing the lesson means you have to replan the lesson. So after replanning the lesson, you have to reteach the lesson. You have to teach it again. The same topic should be teach it again, and after teaching you have to rediscuss the lesson. So rediscuss or re-feedback. So after reteaching again, the teacher educator and the student teachers will be providing feedback for you. So these are the steps involved in micro teaching. So this is the micro teaching cycle. So first you have to plan for the class, and then next you have to teach. After teaching, you will be getting feedback from the teacher educator as well as student teachers, and after your feedback you have to replan the lesson, and again you have to reteach the lesson, and again there will be re-feedback session. So after getting re-feedback, again you have to replan. So till you achieve your goal, you have to plan, teach, get feedback, and again you have to replan, reteach, re-feedback, and again you have to replan, reteach, re-feedback until you achieve the goal. Until you achieve the target, you have to replan, reteach, and get feedback. You have to replan, reteach, and get feedback. So it is a cycle till you achieve your goal. So micro teaching skill, there are several micro teaching skills. There are more than 30 micro teaching skills available for Indian students, and among those, these are the most important micro teaching skill which we will be using in our 45 minutes class. So the first one is skill of stimulus variation. So skill of stimulus variation is nothing but the students' sense organs should be stimulated. So how can you stimulate your students' sense organ? Means you by showing some pictures, by telling some interesting stories, by asking questions, by making the students from moving from one place to another place. So likewise, you have to create the variation among the stimuli of your students. So it is called as skill of stimulus variation. So second one is skill of questioning or probing questioning. So how should we ask question? So that the way of asking question contains a micro teaching skill. So you the way of asking questions among the students, the way of asking motivational questions, the way of asking understanding questions, the way of asking normal questions. So how we should ask if the student does not know the answer, what the teacher should do. So it has so many things in it. Okay, so we will see one by one in detail in the next video. And the next is skill of set induction or motivation. So how to motivate your students. So that has a particular skill in micro teaching. And skill of closure. How should you close a lesson? Skill of conclusion or closure. And skill of explaining. Skill of explaining means how should we explain a concept. So that has a particular skill. And skill of using blackboard. How we should use blackboard. And the last one is skill of reinforcement. Reinforcement means appreciating. So how you will be appreciating your students. So normally we will clap, we will say very good, or we will clap. So that has a particular skill in micro teaching. So all these skills should be dealt individually in detail. So we will see one by one in the next video. I hope I have given some introduction about what is micro teaching and other components of micro teaching skills. Okay, thank you.